All right, let's dive right into this explainer and learn exactly how to arm your outdoor woodworking projects against the brutal forces of nature. If you've ever spent a weekend carefully crafting a beautiful patio chair or a garden bench, only to watch it warp, turn gray, and start peeling just a few months later, well, you know exactly what kind of heartbreak I'm talking about. It's the worst. So today, I'm putting on my expert woodworker hat to teach you how to outsmart the weathering effects of the great outdoors.
Here's our tactical plan for today. We're going to quickly cover the battle against nature, choosing the right wood, the truth about finishes, essential tools and steps, and finally wrap up with some serious pro tips for longevity. Let's get into it.
So, are outdoor finishes completely useless? It's a super frustrating question pretty much every beginner asks after watching their hard work get ruined after just one single summer. I mean, you buy a can of finish that promises ultimate protection and outstanding UV resistance. You spend hours brushing it on, and then a year later, it's flaking off, and your beautiful table is suddenly a magnet for mold? It genuinely makes you wonder why we even bother finishing these outdoor projects in the first place, right?
Okay, Section 1. The battle against nature, sun, moisture, and mold. Because out there in the elements, you're facing a relentless tag team that is actively trying to destroy your hard work.
Now, the harsh reality here is that while rain and snow are definitely bad for your furniture, your absolute worst enemy is actually UV light. UV light literally eats away at the wood fibers on a cellular level. It takes that beautiful warm grain and turns it into a faded, bleached gray. But honestly, even worse than that, the sun bakes and destroys film finishes, causing them to crack and peel. And once that protective shell cracks, well, it creates a wide-open door for moisture to seep right in, which immediately invites mold, rot, and severe swelling to finish the job.
I actually absolutely love this quote straight from our sources, because it sets the exact right expectation. It's a battle of attrition, and Mother Nature will eventually win. Despite what the fancy marketing labels on those cans might claim, there's no magic finish you apply once that protects your piece forever. You really aren't trying to preserve a project for eternity, you're just trying to outsmart the elements so you can put up the longest, strongest fight possible.
Moving on to Section 2, choosing the right wood. Now, what's really interesting here is that throwing money at expensive wood isn't always the only answer. Drafting the right material from the very start dictates exactly how much maintenance you'll be dealing with down the road.
This is where understanding a little bit of wood anatomy is absolutely crucial, especially when you're looking at hardwoods. Take white oak, for example. It is an incredible outdoor wood. Why? Well, it contains this magical substance called tylose that physically plugs the grain up, making it naturally resistant to absorbing moisture. It's literally so good at repelling water that they used to use it to build ships. Red oak, on the other hand, lacks that tylose. Its open-end grain basically acts like a bundle of microscopic straws, absorbing water incredibly fast. Put that outdoors, and it's going to rot on you very quickly.
But hey, what if you're on a strict budget? A lot of beginners just assume they need to grab pressure-treated lumber for outdoor furniture. Please don't do this. Pressure-treated wood is infused with heavy chemicals to prevent decay, making it incredibly wet and physically unstable. As it dries out, it is virtually guaranteed to warp, twist, and crack unless it's bolted down to something massive like a deck frame. Plus, those chemicals? They are absolutely not meant for regular skin contact, making them a terrible idea for armrests or dining tables. Actually, standard, budget-friendly, untreated pine is a fantastic choice, as long as you seal it properly and keep up with the maintenance. Of course, if your budget does allow for it, drafting naturally rot-resistant soldiers gives you a massive head start in this battle. Exotic woods like ivy, teak, and mahogany are completely legendary for their durability. Domestically, cedar and cypress have natural oils that fight off decay, and as we just talked about, white oak is an absolute powerhouse. Using these premium woods means that even if your finish completely fails, the wood itself is going to fight off the rot.
All right, Section 3, the truth about finishes, choosing your armor. This right here is probably the single most highly debated topic in outdoor woodworking.
And this table brilliantly illustrates the trade-off every woodworker has to make between protection and maintenance. Spar urethane, for instance, offers high protection by creating a hard, plastic-like shell over your wood. But remember that UV light we talked about? When the sun eventually cracks that shell, moisture gets trapped underneath. To fix it, you're looking at the total nightmare of sanding and stripping the entire piece all the way back to bare wood. A penetrating oil, on the other hand, soaks straight into the wood fibers. It won't ever peel or flake.
The protection is more moderate, so you have to reapply it every year or two, but the maintenance is ridiculously easy. You literally just wash the wood and splash on a fresh coat in like half an hour. Zero sanding required.
Now look, I know this might offend some of the woodworking traditionalists out there who obsess over showing off the natural grain, but if you really just want the absolute best armor possible and you don't care about seeing the wood, good old-fashioned exterior house paint beats everything else hands down. High-quality exterior paint is packed with heavy pigments that completely block the UV rays from ever reaching the wood, and it totally seals out moisture. Honestly, a painted piece of furniture will outlast a clear-coated one by years.
Let's move into Section 4, Essential Tools and Steps. Let's talk application protocol, because the most expensive finish in the world won't do you any good if you apply it poorly.
Breaking this down for the beginners out there, let's look at Step 1. You never want to leave sharp 90-degree corners on your outdoor projects. Always sand them down to a slightly rounded edge because finish fundamentally struggles to stick to a sharp corner. That'll be the very first place it peels. Step 2. Ensure the wood is clean. If you're refinishing an old piece, a mix of bleach and borax works absolute wonders for killing existing mold. Step 3 is a real game changer. Whenever you can, apply your sealer or finish to the individual parts before you bolt everything together. This ensures that the hidden areas where the joints meet are fully sealed, rather than leaving raw wood trapped inside a joint where water loves to sit. And finally, Step 4. Commit to inspecting and reapplying your finish every couple of years.
While you can definitely use a brush or a roller for most of these finishes, here is a fantastic pro tip. Grabbing an inexpensive HVLP, that's high-volume, low-pressure paint sprayer, makes a world of difference. It ensures your finish penetrates deeply into the impossible-to-reach slats of your patio chairs. Brushes tend to just bridge over those tight gaps, leaving raw wood exposed in the exact spots where water drains through. A sprayer atomizes the finish and forces it right into every single nook and cranny. Also, just a quick note on aesthetics to give you some peace of mind. Please don't freak out when your natural wood inevitably starts to turn a silvery gray. It's perfectly normal. It's just those surface cells reacting to the sun, exactly like we talked about earlier. Now, if you are absolutely determined to keep that fresh-cut cedar or pine look, you've got to be religious about your maintenance. You need clear finishes formulated with heavy UV protection, and you'll probably need to lightly pressure wash and reapply that clear coat every single year.
We are around in the corner now to Section 5, Pro Tips for Longevity. These rapid-fire survival tactics are exactly what separate the weekend warriors from the seasoned veterans building generational furniture.
First up, construction hacks. The glue you use absolutely matters. Swap out your standard wood glue for Titebond 3. It's fully waterproof, whereas Titebond 2 is merely water-resistant. Second, never butt your tabletop boards tightly together. Outdoor wood goes to wild expansion and contraction swings. Always leave at least an 1/8 gap between boards for movement, and bump that up to 3/8 of an inch on seat slats so rainwater can drain right through instead of pooling up. Finally, fasteners. Only use stainless steel or specially coated deck screws. Avoid standard zinc or black oxide drywall screws at all costs. They're going to rust incredibly fast, lose their strength, and literally snap right off the second someone sits down.
Okay, now for the absolute ultimate power tip. This is a bit of an insider secret for longevity. The feet of your furniture rest directly on wet patios, grass, or decking, and that exposed bottom end grain acts like a massive sponge, sucking moisture straight up into the legs. To stop this dead in its tracks, tape off the very bottom of your furniture legs, just about a 1/16 of an inch from the bottom, and coat that exposed end grain with waterproof epoxy. Once that cures rock hard, you can sand it flush and finish the rest of the leg. You have permanently blocked ground moisture from ever wicking up into the wood. It's brilliant.
So, Mother Nature is a relentless opponent, and yeah, she's always going to win eventually. But armed with this explainer, knowing how to draft the right wood, how to select armor that actually matches your maintenance style, and how to use bulletproof construction tricks to keep moisture out, how much of a fight is your next project going to put up? Get out there and build something awesome.